In this video, I'm going to cover the exact Facebook ad strategy, including also the creative strategy that we use to scale supplement brands with a 4 to 13x some days return on the ad spend, mainly in the US market after 30 million spent overall for the supplement brands. Here are like just some screenshot of results. This is like March, April for one brand, 2025, 4x return on the ad spend, 200k spent. Last month, 170k spent for another brand. And then here we have this month data for another brand, which is 4.90x return on the ad spend and 30k amount spent. And then we have another one here where in one day we did 23,000 revenue with a 1.7 return on the 1.7k spent, so 13.59x return on the ad spend. This one, by the way, was without UGC, and so with static ads only and with zero organic. So some of the brands that we work with are brands that don't have an organic, and so it becomes very difficult to succeed with the ads. Something that we notice is that when a brand has like a good organic presence, then it's much easier to scale on ads, but when it's not, it's much difficult. And this is where basically we spend most of our time like figuring out like what kind of creatives we should use and everything. And we spend a lot of money in this industry, especially for the US market. And in this video, I want to cover everything that we have learned during the process. So I'm going to be covering two main things, which is the Facebook ad structure and the creative strategy. This one is gonna apply for you even if you're just starting out, you're spending like 3-5k a month up to 50k plus a month. Things get more complicated when you spend a little bit more, like 100k a month. But yeah, in this video we'll mainly be focusing to like a strategy that works up to 50k a month spent around. So Facebook ad structure, we're going to cover the campaign structure, the ABO v CBO model, advantage shopping plus and how to use them, cost cap and bid cap, so why you need them. Actually, they're actually very important. The setup that you need to use, and was set up based on the ad spend that you have, so the budget, set up based on number of SKUs that you might have, and how to like structure the ad account when you have different SKUs to different products. Creative strategy, I'm gonna cover how to find winning ads, the statics video ratio, so how many statics and videos you should use, how we use statics to make like even 6x return on the ad spend compared to videos. Also cover how we say our clients 1,000 creating production while generating better return on ad spend, and you can do it too as well. So yeah, let's just getting started with the Facebook ad structure. Let's start with a case scenario in which you're spending less than 10k or around 10k a month. So in this case, what you need is basically just one Advantage Shopping Plus CBO campaign, where you are usually you have like one country. You have the proper set between like the proper like audience setup in terms of like existing and engaged audience. Is a very, very, very common mistake where I see people that don't know how to set up these two audiences yet, and so the reporting is like all over the place, and they complain because they don't see a lot of new customers coming in. Also, like Meta gets the wrong data, like wrong signals to the algorithm, and so it's going to be bad for the return on the ad spend. Then in this type of campaign, you don't have to exclude anything, so no cap on existing customers. And the reason why you want to do this is because you're just getting started, so it's not like a big of a deal. You can exclude like last 7 days, 14 days buyers, but it's not a big of a deal. Again, you're just getting started. If you have like a business that like already spending like 10k a month for like 2-3 years, then it's a different case. You of course you need to like exclude existing customers, ideally last 30-60 days data. Depends also on your average retention, so like the purchase frequency. Anyways, then in this Advantage Shopping Plan CBO, you should have one ad set for one angle and one content type. So each ad set is one angle and one set of creative types, means like statics, videos, angle. You can add the suggested interest. Actually, like it's not a problem. If you add them, it's gonna be even better. No exclusion, no cap on existing customers. Refresh creatives every 1 or 2 weeks. Test and scale done within the same Advantage Shopping Plus campaign. The problem that I see, which is very common, is splitting the campaigns in testing and scaling when the budget is still less than 10k a month. And usually, sometimes it can be done. In other cases, it's better not to do that, because you're gonna be focusing most of the budget into one campaign, and so there are more chances that you go out from the learning phase. And this is what like generates stability and consistency in the return on ad spend when you're ready to scale. So you go to the second phase, ideally, when you start spending more money. And each single ad set has different up to 8 ads. Ideally, you want to have between 4 to 10. 8 is the ideal number, 6, 8 is the ideal number. And I highly recommend to use either videos or statics. Don't mix them within the same ad set. That's because usually videos get like more budget spent, because they usually target more like top of funnel, and the engagement is much higher on videos rather than photos, like statics. And so you're gonna end up like spending budget mainly on video ads. Then the second part, which is when you start like increasing more the budget, or if you're already spending this money, then this is also for you. So the ABO of CBO setup depends on number of products, because you need to understand that each single campaign should have enough budget to ideally exit the learning phase when you're increasing the budget. In this case, you can target 1 or more countries, depends, of course, on like where you're selling. You need to set, of course, existing and engaged audience, no exclusion, no cap on existing customers. Again, here you can exclude 7 to 14 days buyers. And yeah, so within the ad set, you want to have, oh, by the way, disadvantage shopping plus needs to be based per number of product, but not for all the products, of course. So you want to be focusing mainly on one product, unless you have more than one winners that you know already that are generating like 80% of the revenue. Let's say you have 10 products and 3 of these products are making 80% of the revenue, then it's okay for you to focus on these 3 products. The only thing you need to consider is that you need to produce more ads, and your costs might raise too much. So yeah, you need to consider that. That's why we do unlimited production when we do like ads ourselves, like for our clients. So this is like how they saving costs and we can scale faster. But if you can't, because you have like a team to pay, you need to pay more per number of creatives, then you need to consider this one as well. One ad set, again, same setup, one angle, one set of creatives, test and scale done within the same Advantage Shopping Plus. And you want to have 4 to 10 ads per ad set, video statics as well, don't mix. What you want to do here, there is going to be one main thing. So the difference is that you're going to have one full prospecting campaign targeting 100% new customers. So you're going to put 0% cap on existing customer. You're going to exclude all of them with the Klaviyo sync list, like email list, like all the customer list, all over time, like always, like since starting the business. So all the customer you always had in your business, one ad set only. And then you want to have all the winner creatives in here. So you can exclude existing customers, and again, scale winners only. You want to have all the winning ads. Ideally, you want to have 20 to 30 purchase for each ad before duplicating into this campaign. And this needs to be done with the ROAS target, of course. And then you can duplicate in here. Videos or statics, in this case, you can mix them because they're winners, so it's not going to be a problem. And of course, they're also going to have engagement, because you need to use post ID and placement adaptations for stories and reel. When you use post IDs on ads that already have engagement, there is not going to be a problem, because Meta sees already like existing ads with existing engagement. So there is not going to be a problem of investing ads where they see more, like a lot of engagement, because all the posts, ideally, they will already have some engagement. And yeah, you can also mix different products. So let's say, for instance, let me give you a recap here. You have a supplement brand, and then you have 3 main products. In this case, what you can have is going to be 3 different campaigns, one for each product. And in the prospecting campaign here, you can put different winning ad for different product within the same campaign. Okay. Also, like, this depends on the number of winning creatives that you like. Sorry, on the type of products that you're selling. If your products are within the same, let's say, main goal, like main benefit, then that's okay to do it. But if the products are completely different, like they're solving different issues, like completely different issues, like problems, then it's gonna be an issue. So it's really difficult to say in advance what kind of structure is perfect for your brand until I don't know the brand that you have, and how your SKUs looks like, how many products, and like all the selling points, so the USPs of each product and so on. But this is like an overall structure that you can use and keep in mind when you're building your own campaign structure on Meta. And there is also going to be another thing, which is the Advantage Shopping Plus in cost cap or bid cap. So this campaign needs to be very aggressive. It means that the budget is going to be very high. And you want to test different cost caps or bid caps. And what you want to do here, you want to have 3 different ad sets within the Advantage Shopping Plus campaign. And you want to test 3 different, of course, it's going to be an ABO. It's going to be cost cap, equal to the average account. So let's say on the average last 30 days you have a CPA of like 50, then your cost cap is going to be 50 for one ad set, 50 plus 20% for another ad set, and 50 minus 20% for another ad set, okay? And then you can duplicate all the winning content that you have in each single ad set, so they can have the same content. This is basically what is going to happen. The good thing about this type of campaign here is that when you do it well, you're going to have a CPM. Look here, this is maximum data. The average account CPM, as you can see here, is $33. But on this cost cap campaign here, we're getting a $20 CPM. You can calculate the decrease, how much is that, and as you can see, the return on investment is quite high as well, and the partial conversion rate also is quite high. So yeah, this is actually very important, and your goal here is to find winning cost cap. So you need to test and see what is the winning cost cap, and ideally what you want to have at one point is turn off all the ad, you keep only one ad with the best cost cap, and you keep scaling it, so you keep increasing the budget. Now, this is very important, because if you don't pay attention to the cost cap and the budget and everything, you're gonna end up burning all the money, because Meta sometimes keeps spending even if the cost cap is not met, because the cost cap, so in this case what you can do to be more conservative is use bid cap, but then bid cap is not gonna spend at all if you don't really have winning creatives there, okay? And sometimes you can even overbid in terms of like cost cap and bid cap, and you're still hitting the ROAS target, because when you overbid, you're willing to pay more, and so the CPM will decrease, and this is what is gonna happen. So in this case here, we're overbidding, so we're telling Meta that we need to spend more, and since we have a lot of engagement, the CPM are decreasing a lot. So here we went from 33 to 20, okay? Yeah, this is very important, keep that in mind. And this campaign here is a campaign that is gonna bring you a very, very, very high efficiency in terms of return on ad spend, so 4.63, very solid. You can keep it running, and yeah, this is it. Then next is gonna be the creative strategy. So for the creative strategy, I have a couple of things here to show you guys. So creative strategy, this is also like the process that you should use, which is more like the way that we organize it as well. So first thing to do, very, very important, is the research. So you need to gather data, and the way you gather data is through past ads within your ad account, competitor research. You can use many tools, for instance this one, forum, Reddit, Facebook groups. Some brands that don't even like care about Facebook groups, but actually it's very important. If you scrape all the information and then you export them, you can analyze them. We're gonna see how later. Reviews of your brand and competitor, social listenings, which is like analyzing the comments or like gathering all the content from ads, from organic content, even like from the competitor ads, that's okay. And customer service, so you can export all the chat, all the email transcript, like all this information here. What you want to do, well, you need to analyze two main things. You need to understand what are the best angle and the best creatives that you should use. The creative type, when I say creatives here, I mean like the creative type and the creative style that you should use to scale a specific angle. Okay, so to communicate a specific angle, gather as much data as possible to understand pain points, desire, purchase blocks, and everything. Creative, ad concept, visual types, hooks, scripts. So you need to analyze all those things. And of course, when you jump to the analysis phase, so in this phase here, you need to gather data. So you gather as much data as possible. Okay, you save it into a Google Sheet, Google Doc, whatever you want. And then we go to the analysis phase. Analysis is where you analyze data, or better to say that AI analyze data. Of course, when you have a lot of data points, you can use AI to summarize the data for you and to analyze the data. The very important thing is that you give them the right script, so the AI gives you back the right information that you need, okay? And this is very important. The more data you have, the best, because more data means more precise decisions, because it means also more precise directions and more precise analysis coming from the AI. Don't stop on one competitor brand data. You should analyze many, okay? Now, you need to define two things here. You need to define angles with existing data, And you also need to define new hypotheses based on existing data. A lot of brands stops here. So get the analysis. Some brands like they even just copy the competitors and they think they work. But anyways, that's the worst of the worst. But like, let's see this case here, right? Define angles from existing data. So you have a lot of data point, analyze data, and you understand what the best performing angle that you can use. And these angles can be top performing angles on average of all competitors, or like whatever it is, based on all the data that you put inside the AI. And then, so ChatGPT in this case. And then what you want to do, you also need to define new hypotheses based on existing data. Angles can be new hypotheses that your brain think on data, and this is where we get the highest return on ad spend and the best results. This is where like real money are, okay? Because when you do this, you're using the same angles, and you're probably using also the same formats if you're copying. And then what's going to happen is that people, as you can read from here, people will get targeted by so many ads, and they will all look the same to them, because you're just copying angle from your competitors. And so people have seen the same angle, the same hook all over, like always, because they're targeting the same people of your competitors. Like your ads are targeting the same people that your competitor are targeting, so you need to stand out. So that's why copy doesn't work. Okay, and this is what generates us the best results in terms of return on ad spend. So when you see like those 13x return on ad spend, all this data are coming from here. New hypothesis. Also, something very important to mention here is that the new hypotheses don't have to be based on random thinking, or like, oh, I think this is gonna work. No, it's gonna be based on existing data, and then you can have an hypothesis that says, okay, because of this data here, because of this information that I have, I think this can work. Yes, okay, in this case, it can be done. This is how we do it. This is how we generate the best results, because you're bringing fresh new things into the market, into like the actual ads, okay, for people to see. Then ad split. The ad split is also quite important. Now this is very tricky, because the ad split also depends on different brands and their capacity to produce, their cost, like how much they want to invest. So ideally you want to have 80% of statics and 20% of videos. And a lot of people say, oh, you need a lot of UGCs and everything, but you actually don't. So this is why, okay? So when you use videos, your CPMs are very high. When you use static images and you do it well, your CPMs can go very low. This is the difference. Okay, this is just like one random example. Now, 90% of the brands focus on video ads, and that's why the CPMs for videos increases a lot. Okay. Now, lower CPMs, if you make them engaging enough, so no clickbait, you have lower CPMs on static images. Okay. Faster testing, you can produce static images much faster compared to videos, and they can be unique, because to produce a unique video, you need like a unique ad. Videos, you can produce variation, of course, but it's much more difficult, okay? Like it takes like much more time, and probably you need to pay more, like if you're working with an agency or whatever. Cheaper to produce, okay? Easy to scale. This is like very straightforward, by the way. Easy to scale with the right iterations. So when you're scaling an ad, and then you can make different variations of that, then you can easily scale them. You still want to use videos, of course, to fuel the top of funnel, but remember, you must understand first what works for you, because we have some brands where videos are just working better than images, and so in this case we have maybe the opposite. So 80% videos and 20% statics. The reason why I'm suggesting this split here is because this is the most efficient split in terms of like how much you need to invest. Because sometimes what is happening that a lot of people, maybe you've seen like a lot, seeing like maybe like 5x, 6x return on ad spend, but then you cannot see the real investment that is coming from the creative production to produce the UGC ads that are used in those ads, and so the margins are very little. Okay, with statics is different, because statics are cheaper, and if you find like a proper partner, they're not gonna charge you per single creative. They will charge only for winners, like we do, for instance. So you need to keep this this is very important. And then the problem with statics is this one. So the problem with statics is that they target low mid funnel, so high frequency and high return on ad spend. A lot of people say that static images can be used for scaling because they target only bottom funnel and keep hitting the same audience, so high frequency. But we don't care as soon as return on ad spend and CPAs are good and new customers come. Because if I keep targeting engaged audience and then they go into the existing customers, then we don't target them anymore. It's not a problem because we're still targeting new customers, okay? Now, high frequency is bad only when you keep targeting the same existing customers, but it's totally fine if you target engaged audience, okay? That means that if someone bought already from you, okay, and the frequency is high, you don't want to show ads like many times to them, but the frequency is fine, like to be high is fine if you target engaged audience, but of course, you need to have enough creatives, because if it's gonna be one creative targeting the same engaged audience for like 21 times in 1 week, of course it's not gonna be good, right? So static images, you can scale it with static images, yes, but you need to have a very high volume, because otherwise the frequency will be too high. You will see a cap in there on the ad spend. This generates a slower scaling process, since statics takes more time to expand the reach to fresh new audience, but it's okay because this slower process allows healthy scaling. So the thing is that you might scale slower. So you like, maybe if you're like a 70k a month, you need to go to 200k a month. It's not gonna take you 1 or 2, 3 months. Maybe it's gonna take you 6 months. But the way that you arrive there will be with a much healthier margin. Okay, so probably you're gonna be like with a higher return on ad spend, and the cost behind it is not gonna be high. Okay, because probably you're producing UGCs. This is very important. Now let's visualize the difference between statics and images, so we're all aligned on this. So with videos, usually tend to target more cold audience, so new audience, while statics tend to target more engaged audience and a little bit more of existing customers. But we don't care, since like up until the return on ad spend is high, until the frequency gets very, very high. And the reason why the way that we fix the high frequency is by using many statics, and this is the process. New audience, of course, they're less likely to convert, but they engine business growth. Engaged audience are more likely to convert, they slow down the business growth. Existing customers, they convert based on top product type offers, like this is more tricky. But what you want to do here, ideally, if you use statics, you're gonna target a slower portion of new audience compared to videos. That's why you scale slower. But then statics, they tend to target more bottom funnel, top of funnel, so the return on ad spend is high. And the way that you can fix this, because ideally this is going to generate a cap in the growth, but the way that you fix this is by having more statics with more variations and more angles. Yeah, exactly. This is how we solve this issue. Okay, we create more statics volume with different angles. For our clients, for instance, we create around 5 static creatives per 1,000 spend per month. So if we spend like, let's say 35k a month, we usually create around 180 static creatives. Depends on needs and results. If you're thinking sounds expensive, this isn't, because we don't charge by deliverables but by results. So we're both aligned, and you should kind of find the same setup when you do this. Okay, you can use AI, whatever, but the ideal concept here is to avoid spending a lot of money, because otherwise the money that you spend in production, they will burn your margins. Okay, yeah. So the way that you fix this issue is by doing this. So each single static image has a specific reach, and with different variations, you're going to increase the amount of new audience that you reach. So let's say it's gonna take you probably 10 images to reach the same new audience that a video can reach with the same budget. But the only difference is that with static images, you're gonna do it with a higher return on ad spend. Okay, because they're targeting more bottom funnel and middle funnel, and this is how you solve the issue of keep targeting the same people, and so the scaling cap. But anyways, this is like just the way that you scale with statics. That means that doesn't mean that you only have to use statics. Of course, UGCs are important. We still use them, and yeah, this is basically the entire process. So yeah, this is it, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'm gonna see you in the next video.